Unplugged Army, it's time to register for the LPGA Ford Championship at Whirlwind Golf Club. Go to FordChampionship.com and you can either buy tickets, or an even better deal would be to volunteer. This is the biggest event on the calendar, calling all generals and really anybody that's even a private in the Unplugged Army. Please volunteer for the 2026 LPGA Ford Championship at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, and help the world to feel the wind.
Thanks for listening, Unplugged Army. I'm Louis Unga, General Manager at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. We're proud to present Doug Franz Unplugged.
Forming offense.
Forming offense.
4 minutes.
Forming offense. Forming offense.
Everything you need to know in sports that affects Maricopa County, the state of Arizona, and the world, you get in 4 minutes. We start things off in downtown Phoenix. Suns win 120-111, but there was a problem. They smoked Dallas through a quarter and a half and then let the Mavericks back in the game. Head coach Jordan Ott.
Every night you take anything you can get, especially when you come out of it with a win, whatever it takes, even though at times it just doesn't feel great. There was obviously a little regression in there of the shot differential. We knew that they would start making something at the rim and we would cool off a little bit, but found a way down the stretch. Book got to his spots, got to the free throw line, and they got enough stops to win.
Book went 3 of 7 for 3. He had 19 points, 4 boards, 6 assists. Up next, back end of a back-to-back. Suns at home against the best team in basketball, Oklahoma City. Tip-off downtown, 7 o'clock. ASU a winner over Oklahoma State, 85-76. One of the few times this year they out-rebounded somebody, 45-34 in favor of the Devils. Head coach Bobby Hurley.
I thought overall balance was really good. I thought we set the tone early in the game with establishing our ability to get some rebounds. We missed shots, but we were able to get second chance opportunities. So it's probably the biggest differential we've had in second chance points all season.
Santiago Truitt had his best game, 16 points, 10 boards. Up next, Devils are off for a week. They take on Texas Tech at home Tuesday night. And so it begins. The Diamondbacks pitchers and catchers reported yesterday, but manager Torey Lovullo says everybody was actually there.
Not a lot to report on other than bullpens, a live that we all just probably watched together, and watching some hitters take some live at-bats. Everything for day one went very, very well.
One thing that was highlighted by general manager Mike Hazen was that the 25 Diamondbacks needed to work a little harder in spring training on defense, and that will be fixed in 2026.
Our defense cost us way too many baseball games last year. I know the narrative is constantly on the pitching, and yes, the pitching needs to improve, and I need to continue to improve the pitching staff, etc. But there were just too many times where a defensive miscue mixed in with the pitching was exacerbating what was already a situation where it wasn't our strong suit. If we clean up that side of the ball, we're going to put ourselves in a lot of games to win.
Up next, position players report on Friday, full squad workout Sunday. Huge game in the Mountain West tonight. Third place New Mexico coming to Grand Canyon to take on the fifth place Lopes. New Mexico's 9-4 in the conference. GCU is 8-4. Tip-off on the west side, 8 o'clock. NBA update last night, so you know where the Suns stand. Houston won, Lakers lost. So, Rockets and Nuggets are now tied for third. Lakers and T-Wolves tied for fifth, a game and a half back of the third place tie. Suns, they're in the first play-in position, 1/2 game out of fifth, only 2 games out of third. Tonight, every one of those 5 teams is in action except the Lakers. Houston's at home against the Clips, Minnesota's at home against the Trailblazers, and Denver is home against Memphis. Olympic update, U.S. women crushed Canada in hockey 5-0 to complete the preliminary rounds. Medal count, U.S. jumps up to 4th with 7 total medals. They picked up 3 silver and 2 bronze yesterday. Today, men's hockey starts for the first time, but the U.S. is not in action. Men's Super G final, biathlon, ice dancing, freestyle skiing, the luge men and women's doubles, Nordic combined, and the men's 1,000-meter speed skating final. And 4 college hoop upsets yesterday. Number 13 Purdue over number 7 Nebraska. Unranked Miami beat the 11th ranked Tar Heels at home. Number 8 Illinois lost at home to Wisconsin. And number 5 Iowa State lost on the road at TCU. And finally, meet Sturla Holmlegrid. He's one of Norway's top biathletes. He just wins a silver medal in the Olympic biathlon. He's approached by Norwegian broadcaster NRK at the finish line and says, 6 months ago, I met the love of my life, the world's most beautiful, sweetest person. And 3 months ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life and I cheated on her. Wait, what are you doing, dude? Later on, he approached the media podium and was asked basically the same thing I just said. What are you doing, dude?
Yeah, really, I don't know if it's the right choice or not. But it was the choice I made. We make different choices during our life, and that's how you make life, basically. So today I made the choice to tell the world what I did. So maybe there's a chance that she will see what she really means to me. And maybe not. But I don't want to think I didn't try everything to get her back. So, yeah, again, Johan, I don't want to steal the show today. I hope this is just like a day or two long thing, and then your Olympic gold medal is forever.
Hey guys, it's No Name Henry. Just so you know, we're down here at Bell's, and while they're known for their chicken sandwich, I gotta let you know their burgers are the best in town. And also even though Doug makes fun of me, their sweet potato fries are delicious. You gotta get them, and great combo. Always great, never disappointed.
Bell's Nashville Kitchen on Main Street in Old Town Scottsdale.
You found home, down home.
My name is Aaron. I also go by AG Kleino on Twitter. I think one thing that makes Goodyear Fit Body Bootcamp stand out is we have the luxury of personal training in a small group. Personal training can be very expensive, and group fitness classes can be overwhelming. We keep the group small at Goodyear Fit Body Bootcamp so that all of our members get personal attention. At Goodyear Fit Body Bootcamp, we strive to inspire fitness and change lives every day.
I gotta tell you, I hate my birthday. And here's why. I don't care how old I am. I don't regret my age. I have lived every day as it comes, spent time with my children, so I don't feel like the world has passed me by. But Jennifer does one thing to ruin my birthday. She always schedules a physical. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever it is that you've decided to make Doug Franz Unplugged a part of your day, my family greatly appreciates it. My name is Doug Franz, and you have found the only podcast in the world totally devoted to the coverage of the four major sports franchises. I don't know why I stumbled on that one. The four major sports franchises of one great American city that drops on your phone each and every weekday morning. We also cover ASU. No! First one of the year, I think. Marlins Rising Work. This is Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. How are you? One of the things I really appreciate about my parents is birthdays weren't a big day in our family. I had a really cool birthday party in either first or second grade. I can't remember which grade, and my entire class was invited. My parents dressed up like clowns, and I'm not one of those people that are afraid of clowns. I've never had a problem with clowns. I do think it's funny the way other people act about clowns. I almost think there are people that think having a clown fear is cool, so they've invented a clown fear so that they can act scared of clowns because they love that idea. I mean, that just kind of became a trend a couple years ago. But I don't have any problems with clowns, and I thought that birthday party was fun. But other than that, birthdays just have never been a big deal, and I like that. I like that a lot. And now, I almost despise February because Jennifer has taken it upon herself to schedule me a physical, which is today. Every time February rolls around, my birthday month, there's a physical that's coming. I am just not a fan. Now, as your commander-in-chief, please, go get your physical. Go get checked. Find out what issues you may have. Your family needs you to do it. That is being a rock. I know as a man, we like to say, hey, we're tough. We don't need it. And then something like what happened to Dr. Fred happens to us. And boom, it's over. My dearly beloved friend, Dr. Fred, over 14 months ago now, just told his wife, yeah, I'm not feeling really good, chest pains. I think we should go to the hospital. She kissed him on his way through the doors, and he didn't come back. Well, that's a good way to start the show today, huh? Okay, good way to start the show. How are you feeling right now? But it is a reminder. We have got to take care of ourselves, and that's me talking to you. But I don't want to hear this message. I don't want to go. I can't stand it. You wait in line, and then you sit there, and who knows what they're going to stick where. You don't know whether it's one of the years where they're going to stick things. I just did Moon River a little while ago. I don't need it again. Hopefully I get away with it. Just not looking forward to it. There's me complaining. Thank you. I feel better. I appreciate your time in letting me complain about going to the doctor. And then I got a dentist appointment tomorrow. How did we get those things back to back? Anybody know spring training started? Oh my gosh. Okay, before we get rolling here, I am in a great mood. Other than, of course, the physical today. Two things happened yesterday that I just cannot believe. Absolutely cannot believe it. Number one, I had lunch with Tiger from Parker & Sons, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Just so you know the story, the company has been owned by my dear friends for a long time. And slowly but surely, a different group is running Parker & Sons. So this was my opportunity to get to know the marketing side. And I just want to make sure that they are still top notch when it comes to the quality that they've always been. Because sometimes when, as a different group starts to run marketing, it's not connected to sales. And when I say sales, what I mean by sales is making sure the experience is 100% at the top. And that's what Parker & Sons is, or has been. And I just want to make sure it's staying in that direction. So we're talking, he's given me a lot of pointers on the future of podcasts and some of the things that are important for me to consider going forward. I thought, well, that was really helpful. We started talking about golf. And then I told him about Play Like a Pro coming up on April 1st at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. If this is your first time listening to Doug Franz Unplugged, or maybe you haven't been here in a little while, LPGA Ford Championship is at Whirlwind on the last weekend of March. Then the Monday after is kind of a hold day in case there's a playoff, or like a rain day so everything gets pushed back. And then Tuesday is kind of, hey, let's let the course repair itself a little bit and let everybody go to work. Wednesday is Play Like a Pro day. We get the course, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I was telling Parker & Sons Tiger this, and he goes, well, we'd like to sponsor the first hole. Like, I didn't sell him anything. He just said, I'd like to sponsor the first hole. And I said, well, I got to tell you, it's not like actually a golf tournament. It's just like a golf outing, because everybody who listens to the podcast, we've just become friends. And so it's just a chance for us to get together, and it's great for Whirlwind because they give us an incredible deal, but they might be introducing new people to golf, and that's kind of how it works. And he goes, okay, well, we'll still sponsor the first hole. Okay, wow. And then don't think I'm being a jerk, but I'm not going to tell you how much he gave, because that's his business, right? And then I said, oh my gosh, whatever I would charge for a whole sponsorship, that's more than I would charge. So here's what I'm doing with your money. I am buying 2 of the foursomes. I will buy 2 Whirlwind foursomes, and I'm going to give those foursomes to individuals who feel like, I want to support the Unplugged Army, I want to be there to play, but I'm probably, that's something that's not really justifiable for where my money is. And remember, from the beginning, I have talked about the Unplugged Army coming together and supporting each other. I'm not talking about that we're going to, turn communist and sing Kumbaya, but at the same time, there are ways that we can help each other. And Parker and Sons said, sure, absolutely. That's a great idea. We'd love to do it. So Parker and Sons is in a sense buying 4 foursomes, 2 foursomes that they're going to fill with their friends and family, and 2 foursomes they're buying for the Unplugged Army. So I want to let you know about that. Then I text Sweet Lou and tell him how cool everything is going and how many people have emailed me and said they're interested. And he said, well, how many do you think you'll need? What do you think it was last year? And I said, I think it was about 10. And he says, okay, how about we do this? Let's start it at 1 o'clock and I'll give you 14 foursomes. I said, wow, that's a lot. Okay, great. 14 foursomes. And then he says, $50 a piece. Now, no, not $50 for the foursomes, but $50 for each person in the foursome. Now, just so you're aware, if you are not a Whirlwind Plus member, it would cost you $160 today to play at 8 o'clock this morning. If you are a Whirlwind Plus member, you get the lowest price that's that day. And the lowest price on Devil's Claw, for an example, is $119. So Whirlwind Plus members pay $119 to play Devil's Claw this morning. Non-Whirlwind Plus members pay $159. Okay, you got that? We're paying $50. We're paying $50. That's insane. A $50 golf course this time of year is 99% of the time a muni. And even munis are more expensive than $50. And we get one of the premier courses for only $50. I am in just shock about this. So I want everybody to know that was nice enough to email me, or even some of you that have texted me to say, hey, you want in, when you didn't even know price and time. I want you to know I kept your emails to kind of help me relay to Lou how many people are interested. But now it's going to be a lot easier if everybody emails me now that we know official details and you say, yes, I'm in. I want a foursome. I want this. But please understand this. This is really important. There's 2 aspects here. Number 1, straight honor system. Once you book that tee time, please know I want $50 plus tax from you, or the $200 plus tax for your foursome. There's no way for me to charge you now, but please figure out a way to make sure that everybody's showing up and paying when you get to the pro shop. That's going to be really important. Number 2, if you look at yourself as a person that you're doing well enough financially that you can afford this, or golf is your passion, you've done it, but things like that, please be one of the people that are paying. But you know yourself, sheer honor system, I trust you. If you're in a position in life where, hey, it's a little difficult right now, then please play anyway. And please just let me know. I'd like to have a Parker and Sons scholarship, and you're one of the 8 that want a Parker and Sons scholarship. And I want you to have that. I want you to have that. And I'm excited for you to be able to play. Keep in mind, if you're new to golf, you do have to have clubs. And if you don't have them, there is a charge to rent them from Whirlwind. I know Lou well enough to know that if he's listening right now, he goes, oh, no, we could probably waive that rental fee. No, I'm not letting Lou. He's already given us the course for $50. I'm not letting him do that. So there, I am now running one aspect of Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. I am throwing down and saying, no, Lou, you do enough for us. At least make a couple of bucks on rentals. So please be involved. Please take this information that I'm giving you and do 2 things with it. Number 1, ensure me that you are a lifelong customer of Parker and Sons Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical. I'll be blunt. They're a little more expensive than everybody else, but they're cheaper in this way. When you call somebody else, you'll end up calling somebody else after that because it won't always be done right the first time by other guys. So would you rather pay twice? When you pay twice, it's always going to cost more than it does the one time you have to call Parker & Sons. And secondly, please find a way to volunteer for the Ford Championships. Just go to FordChampionship.com or you can go to whirlwindgolf.com and get the information, get the link, and then get yourself involved in the Ford Championship. And I would love to have you out there. Email me, Doug at DougFranzUnplugged.com for any questions or to book your tee time. If you want to do the math, we're going to start at 1 o'clock and there's going to be a tee time every 9 minutes. And if you say, hey, Doug, I want 109, doesn't mean you're going to get it. Okay. But pretty close. I will probably take the 1 o'clock tee time because that way I can be back at Civlik and saying hi to everybody. One year I took a later tee time because I wanted to be nice and everybody got to Civlik and a bunch of people were like, Doug, I got to go home. I got to get moving. And everybody was gone. And I missed like a whole bunch of people. And I felt terrible that people who didn't even know me that had been invited to play were there and they didn't get a chance to say hi. I didn't get a chance to say hi to them. You are allowed to invite people that are not members of the Unplugged Army. But I would like you to show them the podcast and I would like you to make them download it while you're in the cart and become members of the Unplugged Army. This is us getting together and I'm just so jacked up. Sorry I took so long to explain everything today, but I was just so excited for Parker & Sons to do that. So excited for Lou to give us a premier course on an incredible idea. For those of you that don't know what Play Like a Pro is, they're going to set up the course similar to one of the days of the tournament and say, this is the Friday round. Here are your tees. Tee off from this tee. Here's where the women teed off. Here's the pin placement for that day. And then whatever your score is, you're going to be able to look back at the official scoring from that day at the LPGA Ford Championship and say, oh, I actually beat her. I would have finished in 137th place. You know, it'll be hilarious. But I want that for you. I think that'll be fantastic. So please be a part of it in any way that you can. Okay, last thing now before we get rolling. Coming up after Doug's big one, Biggie-sized by Wendy's, we have a conversation with Jake Lamb that I am so proud of. So proud of. And I think you're going to absolutely love this conversation. And I have to tell you what really jacked me up about it. I recorded it with him on Monday. Then I went and picked up my Diamondbacks credential yesterday after my lunch with Parker & Sons. So I'm at Salt River Field. I talked to the Diamondbacks media relations department and they told me that they reached out to Jake to ask how it went and he loved it and had no idea he would enjoy talking to the media about where his passions lie in helping young guys navigate a Major League Baseball career. And what was interesting is I didn't ask him until the end, what's really your job? And the reason why is because I wanted to talk to him the whole time about his career, knowing that's what he was going to be doing, is talking to them about how to really cherish your time in Major League Baseball. And man, I think he's going to crush his player development role. And who knows where he goes from there. But it was a fascinating story. And if you don't know his story, drafted by the Pirates out of high school, didn't sign, went to UW. He's a Seattle kid. Then I tried to limit Super Bowl talk because I didn't want to hear it. And then got drafted by the Diamondbacks and came up all the way through their system, step by step. It was never drafted, immediately rated as a high prospect, straight to AA, straight to the majors, as kind of people are fast-tracked. He stopped at every level of the minor leagues and then was somewhat platooned, then was a starter, had a weird career with the Diamondbacks when almost every year he was one of the best players in baseball for the first 2 or 3 months. But at least best third baseman. I should say best players, but one of the best third basemen in the game for 2 or 3 months. And then in the second half of the year, he was barely a major leaguer. It was very weird, but a really good person. And so we talked about all of those things. I think you're going to absolutely love the conversation, and hopefully he enjoyed us enough that he's going to come back. I don't have his Twitter handle. I'll try to find it. So if you see the tweets that I send out promoting the show, please retweet and give out any thank you notes to Jake. And if we can't find Jake's handle, then let's make sure we send a lot to the Diamondbacks. So there's a lot of attention that gets drawn on Doug Franz Unplugged. Okay, enough of me yapping. It normally doesn't take 25 minutes before we get into Doug's big one. And we got a long show today because it's basically a D-backs preview with pitchers and catchers reporting yesterday. Plus we got Suns, plus we got Sun Devils. So now it's time for Doug's big one. It's been Biggie-sized by Wendy's. Choose your Biggie bag. The Biggie Bites, the Biggie Bag, or the Biggie Bundle. They start at $4, $6, or $8, and you get your choice of sandwich, or you go with the Biggie Bundle where you don't have to choose one. You choose two. Plus, you get the junior fry and the small drink. I'm kind of a fan of the Biggie Bag because I would like the junior bacon, so I get the hamburger, and then I get a 4-piece nugget. I love their crispy chicken sandwich, but I admit I would not get the crispy chicken in the Biggie Bag because I already get 4 pieces of nuggets and a fry. So I'd rather have a hamburger with the 4 pieces of nuggets. If I'm going with the Biggie Bite, I have to choose junior bacon or crispy chicken. So then I would go crispy chicken and fry because you don't get 4 pieces of nuggets and the junior fry in the Biggie Bites. You got to choose. So if I got to choose, I want chicken sandwich, but then I want fry because I want to go fries. But if I don't have to choose the side, well, then I'm choosing the junior bacon because then I know I'm getting the 4-piece nuggets and the fry. That was a fantastic Wendy's breakdown. Doug.
Where's Doug? Here, sorry, Doug. Where are you at?
Yeah, was that a plug to unplug right there?
Doug had given me a stat.
Well, I can only answer the questions that get asked of me, Doug.
Obviously, Franz is such a good player.
Doug's big one. I'm going to give my opinion today flying without a net on Doug's big one because it could get convoluted because you have to follow me with where I'm going and know the facts first so you can then debate whether you agree or disagree with my opinion. My opinion is if Michael Bidwill wants to prove to us as fans that he truly wants to win, then he needs to pay off some of Kyler Murray's contract to help facilitate a trade. And that's Doug's big one. Now let me explain everything I just said and why that is, okay? For those of you that are new to Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, you may not know this. Kyler Murray gets drafted by the Cardinals, number 1 overall. He becomes Rookie of the Year in year 1. He becomes a Pro Bowler in year 2. He's then elevated because of that to a different tier when it comes to picking up your 5th-year option. And what that means is you are now eligible for a contract extension entering year 3 of your career. And there's escalators that basically turn you into a franchise quarterback. So therefore, the Cardinals already knew, and more importantly, Kyler Murray's agent knew that Kyler was going to be worth a franchise tag if the team were about to lose him. So if you follow the brilliant strategy of Kirk Cousins, which is what he did to Washington, they turned down an extension opportunity, and he became the first player to just go, sure, I'll keep signing franchise tags. Most players hate the franchise tag because even though they'll get a ton of money in 1 year, you'll make a lot more with guaranteed money over multiple years. And some teams, especially at running back, will just slap a franchise tag on you. And sure, they've got to pay you a ton of money in that year that you have the franchise tag. But if you get hurt, your career could be over, or you could lose out on hundreds of millions of dollars in the future. So most players don't want the franchise tag. Well, since Kirk Cousins knew the tag was coming, he already had a starting point for negotiations. He was feeling like, well, listen, I'm not going to sign a contract extension with you because in year one of the franchise tag, I'm going to make up these numbers because it's been too long and I don't remember what Kirk Cousins was going to make. But let's say in year one, I'm already going to make $30 million. And then if you franchise me again, there's escalators when you give a guy a franchise tag back-to-back years. So now I'm supposed to make $44 million in year two. And then I'm supposed to make, I think it's $51 million in year three. So I'm already starting at a negotiation standpoint where I'm making about $125 million over the next 3 years in franchise guarantees. Therefore, I'm not signing any contract for less than $125 million in 3 years. Washington looked at it like, wait a minute. Those are only guaranteed on a per year basis if you don't get hurt. Why would you gamble getting hurt? How about you sign a 3-year deal for $100 million? Let's do that. That way you're guaranteed that money and it saves us. And Kirk Cousins is like, no, you chose not to negotiate with me sooner when I would have signed an extension. Now that I'm already forced into franchise tags, I'm going to make it benefit me. And he raked Washington over the coals until they gave up trying to sign him. He became a free agent and signed with Minnesota. Well, the Cardinals were scared of that. So they signed Kyler Murray. You're going to like it's going to make you throw up when I say it. 5-year, $250 million contract. The reason why I said if you were new to Doug and Wolf, oh my gosh, when's the last time I did that? If you are new to Doug Franz Unplugged, you didn't know that I said this. But during that time frame when Kyler was demanding a new contract, I said, trade him now. And it was 3 reasons. 1, I couldn't stand his agent giving the Murray manifesto demanding a contract, and it was clearly almost throwing shade on his teammates. He's the one that deserves this. Number 2, Kyler scrubbed his Instagram account of all Cardinals pictures. I don't care that that's how kids communicate today. That is one area where I think it is so unjustifiable and it's terribly unprofessional and it's just plain stupid. And listen, there are a lot of things that I did as a kid that I look back on as stupid and adults told me they were stupid. There's a lot of things kids do now that I think are stupid that actually probably aren't, and I'm out of touch. And I get that. And if I need to be told I'm out of touch, I need to learn that lesson. This is not one of those things. I am not out of touch to tell you. Sending a message passively, not having the courage to stand up and say, this is how it is, and having a face-to-face conversation and wanting to show someone you're upset by saying, you know what? I'm going to pretend you're not in my life. You're an immature little fool when you do that. Say it, believe it, understand it. Don't let people off the hook when they've done it. Now, doesn't mean they can't grow up from it. Doesn't mean they can't admit that they were wrong, and we all need to back off when somebody admits they're wrong. Let them have the grace to be forgiven and move on. I don't know about you. I've never heard Kyler say, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe he did. I'm only bringing it up for reference, not to throw shade on him now, but to say that's why then I wanted to move on from him. And there was a third reason. I didn't think he was very good. I just thought, I don't think he's really seeing defenses. I just think he's that fast. And I think Cliff is trying to use him in a good way, but I don't see the growth that I think you should see. And that's why I wanted him traded. And I will still say I think it was the best opinion I've ever had. I've had some bad ones. But imagine what better position the Cardinals would be if they would have done that. The reason why I'm talking about Michael Bidwill and Doug's big one is let me give you the hardcore numbers, just like I did back then, of where we are now. If you cut Kyler Murray today or at any point between now and the new league year, you're going to owe $54.7 million against the salary cap. That's the dead cap money, because that's all the money that's still either A, guaranteed to him in the future, or B, some of the signing bonuses of the past that have not been taken off of the salary cap yet. Now, if you say, well, what does that mean? If you give a guy a salary, his yearly salary, then that yearly salary comes off the salary cap if you pay it. And the reason why I say if you pay it, I mean, if you cut him, you don't owe that money. If it's guaranteed money, you owe it to him and it's got to come off the cap. If, however, you give it to him in a signing bonus, you're allowed to prorate the cap hit over the extended years of the contract. Now, if all that was gibberish, I can make it even easier. So for those of you that understood that, please don't feel offended. But I want everybody to feel included that makes this easy to understand. And no, I'm not dumbing it down. I'm just explaining it in a different way. If I give you a 1-year, $20 million contract, it's a $20 million cap hit. Very simple. If I give you a 2-year, $20 million contract, and year one is $19 million in salary and year two is $1 million in salary, guess what? Year one, it's $19 million of a salary cap hit. Year two is $1 million of a salary cap hit. However, if I give you a $10 million signing bonus, and then I give you a $5 million salary in year one and a $5 million salary in year two, your year one cap hit is $10 million. The reason why, you take the signing bonus and you divide it in half, because I can take partial pain in year one of the $10 million signing bonus and partial pain in year two. And there you go. And I'm paying him $5 million a year. So it's really simple. It's a $10 million cap hit in year one and a $10 million cap hit in year two. Now let's say year one goes terrible and I cut him. So I had my $10 million cap hit in year one. That's the prorated $5 million of the signing bonus and the salary of $5 million in year one. Now I don't owe him anything in year two. I don't owe him that $5 million salary. But I still owe the cap the $5 million signing bonus that I didn't take a cap hit for yet, because I already projected and prorated the $10 million salary cap hit. 5 in year one, 5 in year two. Well, he's not here in year two. I don't care. The cap hit still is. So that's how the salary cap works in the NFL. Prorated signing bonuses come back to haunt you. But if you don't prorate them, it's hard to sign other free agents and other players, because the signing bonus of player A is so big that would eat up all the cap if you tried to put it all in one. So there's your cap lesson for a second. Now, specifically to Kyler, if you cut Kyler between now and March 14th, you owe $54.7 million against the cap. If you trade him, you only owe 17.9% against the cap. Look at that huge difference of what you owe the cap. 54.7 if you cut him, 17.9 if you trade him. The reason why it's that big of a difference is because the 17.9 are the guaranteed parts of the contract, signing bonus, prorated, and other workout bonuses that you owe him now. But the salary stuff is going to be paid by the new team. So since it's paid by the new team, That's not on your cap anymore. If you cut him, all of it comes crashing down. Every ounce of that contract that hasn't been that has been prorated to later, and all the guaranteed money that you already owe him, boom, all of it hits. The bill is due at the same time. It gets even worse if you wait till after March 15th. Now, this isn't universal among all players, but it's specific to the contract of Kyler Murray. His contract says if he is on the roster on the 5th day of the new league year, then $17 million of his 30 some odd million dollars is guaranteed for 2027. Yes, we're talking about 2027. So March 15th is the 5th day of the new league year in 2026, and his contract stipulates that money becomes guaranteed in 2027. Therefore, if you cut him after March 15th, it's a $77 million cap hit. So now we already know there's no way the Cardinals are going to go to that. So they've got to make a decision between now and March 15th what to do. The one thing about trading Kyler Murray, and everybody says, hey, trade him. Of course, with the cap hit difference of 30 some odd million, you got to trade him. But remember what you're saying when you got to trade him. You're assuming nobody else has Sunday ticket. Do you think other general managers have not seen that this guy can't read defenses? Keep in mind of another negative about Kyler Murray. The general consensus is, and I completely agree with this, I could be wrong, but I agree with it. Kyler Murray would be a terrible backup quarterback. You need a backup quarterback that works so hard behind the scenes to get the starting quarterback ready. You need a great leader that's always prepared, heavy into his homework, because he's not going to get the reps during the week. So if the starting quarterback goes down during the game, you got to be able to come in with no reps, create, make it happen. Your brain is so much more important than any other aspect. So even if you love Kyler Murray, you have to acknowledge the reports over his entire tenure that he's not a great student of the game and he's not a great leader. Now, I think he's terrible at those two things. But you would, if you love Kyler Murray, you would at least have to acknowledge those are weaknesses. Well, if you acknowledge those are weaknesses, why would you then put him in a position where only players that have those things as strengths excel, as in a backup quarterback? So now you've got to find a team that doesn't know what they're doing, has tons of cap space, and knows not to have a quarterback competition because Kyler might lose, and now you've got all of this money tied in to a bad backup quarterback. There's, in my opinion, there is only one team, and that's the New York Jets. That's the only team, in my opinion, that's dumb enough to do it, to trade for Kyler Murray. Maybe Dallas. Maybe. Can you imagine Dallas not being willing to pay Micah Parsons, but they'll be willing to pay Kyler Murray? Do you know if you pick up the remaining 3 years, $125 million, with $60 million of it guaranteed for Kyler Murray, you as an organization will be paying Kyler Murray more than the 2025 MVP? Kyler Murray's contract, as it stands right now, he's scheduled to make more money in 2026 than Matthew Stafford will. How does that make sense? How could you do that? When if you just wait and the Cardinals cut him, now you don't have to have that contract. If you trade for him, you're not just trading for Kyler Murray, you're also trading for the contract. That makes no sense. Think about it through the prism of another team. Everybody keeps saying, just trade him. Somebody will take him. Really? Why? Why would you want that salary? Why would you want to pay Kyler Murray more than Matthew Stafford gets for a job that he might not win? And if you gravy train and let him win it, does he have the football IQ to run your offense, which right now is not set up for Kyler Murray? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And that's why I say Michael Bidwill must give money as part of the trade. I don't care what you get back. Even if you only get a 7th round draft pick back, you get $36 million in cap savings if you trade him. That number is so huge that if it takes giving $10 million to another team to help them pay the $125 million remaining on Kyler's contract, you do it because it's so worth it. And I'm afraid that Michael Bidwill is the type that says, no, I'm not going to pay Kyler Murray to go somewhere else. He didn't do enough for us. He hasn't been a good enough teammate. Let's just ship him out, and I don't want to pay him any more money. Well, no one's going to take him. And then you've got to make the decision if you're going to cut him and take the $54 million cap hit. There is another idea. You can cut him and designate him as a June 1st cut. Now, there's one major negative about that, and let me explain that to you. If you cut him and designate him as a June 1st cut, you don't owe him the non-guaranteed portions of his salary over the next 2 years. So that's a savings of money. However, what June 1st, and the reason why that matters in the NFL, you cut him and designate him as a June 1st cut. Kyler instantly becomes a free agent, but his money is still on your books. You then carry the full weight of the cap hit. In this case, when you take off some of the workout bonuses and stuff like that, it would be a $47.5 million hit. You're allowed to take $47.5 million and divide it in two when you designate somebody a June 1st cut. So you would take $23 million in 2026 and $23 million in 2027. It's a much more salvageable thing to do to cut somebody after June 1st. And when we say designated as a June 1st cut, that just simply means you can cut them whenever you want. You're just designating it to come off your books on June 1st. That allows you to split the cost. There's one huge catch. You're going to enter free agency in March with the entire $47.5 million cap hit hitting you in the face. So now it's bothering you. It's in your face when you're trying to sign free agents. And then when the whole free agency pool is gone and the best players are gone, now 3 months later, now that money comes off the books. And you're allowed to split the 47 to 23 in 1 year and 23 in the other. So it's not the golden parachute everybody makes it out to be. It doesn't really save you because on a big contract, it still hurts you when it counts, and that's free agency. It doesn't hurt you maybe if you're working on a big trade, but do you ever really believe the Cardinals are going to be close to the playoffs and make a big trade where somebody comes in that's going to eat a lot of salary cap? And then you'll say, oh my gosh, thank God they designated Kyler Murray a post-June 1st cut. What makes the most sense if you're a franchise that wants to win is you spend some money and give it to the other team. That makes Kyler more favorable looking. That makes Kyler somewhat desirable. And then you take the big cap hit, but it's a trade cap hit, not a cut. You have to trade him. And the only way you can trade him is to pay down that contract yourself. And I don't think Michael Bidwill wants to win that bad, but I think he owes it to the fans to show that he does. So that's what you're going to want to be watching over the course of all trade rumors, whether or not the Cardinals are paying down Kyler Murray's contract. And that is Doug's big one. Thank you, Wendy's. Number one, Santan Ford heavily involved with the Ford Championships with the LPGA tournament at Wild Horse Pass. So please go to whirlwindgolf.com or go to fordchampionships.com and register as a volunteer. Number two, oil change, general maintenance. It's so much easier to use the mobile service. Go to santanford.com, click on mobile service, send them a note. They'll reach out and schedule a time with you to have your car's oil changed at your convenience, wherever you are within 25 miles of the dealership. If it's heavier maintenance that you need, same thing. If you're within 25 miles, they'll come pick up your car, work on it, bring it back to you. That's the difference at Santan Ford, 202 in Val Vista. I am Santan Ford. Unplugged Army, thanks for paying attention. We're jacked up to do this as it's time for pitchers and catchers to report. And Jake Lamb has been nice enough to jump on and kind of talk about the season, talk about life, talk about him. So, Jake, first of all, the most important thing in the world, far more important than baseball, give me a family update because I know nothing since you retired. So, how's life? How's the family?
Oh, so good. I got released in June out of AAA. I was with the Giants last year, and I'm 35. I wish I could still do it at the high level, but I was ready to be done. When I got released, it was a very clear, in a great way. I don't want to do this anymore. I've put in so much hard work. I've put in a lot of time and effort, and when you're not getting the results, especially when you've had the results at the highest level. Again, I just want to be clear, from a clear mindset, it was like, you know what, I'm done with this and I'm happy to be done with this. I want to move on and I want to start that next chapter of my life. I got a baby girl that, like I said, just turned 1 today. And
what's her name?
Rainy.
Okay.
Rainy Jane. Just trying to get time with her, time with my wife, times with, friends and family. We did whole summer vacation. My wife did a surprise retirement party for me, which was so awesome. That was 2 days before Thanksgiving. I mean, the amount of ex-teammates that were there, whole family was here. And then the one that I haven't done for a very long time, never did it while I was playing, but grew up doing it all the time, was go on a snowboard trip for 10 days up in Idaho. And that was, man, to go on the mountain and to take a few spills and not worry, as far as I'm still
whether you violated your contract or not.
Yeah. Just being able to go out and be free and just, all right, if I catch an edge on my snowboard, it's not the end of the world. I don't have to, hey, here's what happened, come up with some fake story. Anyways, that's where we're at. We still live here in Arizona and we love it. Yeah, we're very happy.
I got to tell you, it's so interesting to listen to you say that because, our lives are not even remotely similar in the sense of I'm high school Harry, played 3 sports and quickly realized there's no future, get out of it. And I'm not good enough and became a talk show host because I couldn't hit a curveball. So I wanted to talk about other people trying to hit curveballs and there's nothing more to it. And when I didn't technically get fired. They just didn't renew my contract. And I still struggle even talking about it. And it's cool that you just said, when I got released, boom. And you are so comfortable with saying it. Is it because you got everything out of yourself and that's why you're comfortable with it?
I think so. I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things, but I just, again, the time and effort, and I'm not the only guy, right? To play this game at the highest level, you have to put in time, a lot of time. And when you put in that much time and you're not seeing results at the AAA level, again, when I've done it at the highest level.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking over a week or two, but over the last couple of years, it slowly just gets, it was just, I don't want to say tough to deal with, but, for example, it's I opened up the 2024 season with, in AAA with the Pirates, and I was hitting 400 for the first month and a half, but I wasn't driving the ball in the gap and hitting the ball over the fence. And it was really for 2 months. But my point is my player profile, I'm not doing a whole lot at first base as I'm not stealing second base. I got to be hitting the ball in the gaps. I got to be driving the ball over the fence and driving guys in. And so I would have good games. And then just this little voice, small voice is just in the back of my head. That's not going to get it done. That's not. It's not to say I'm not going for a call up. Yes, I would have loved to have been called up, but you got to be a really good self-evaluator in this business. And I can't look myself in the mirror and say, why, I'm not going to go up there and hit singles all day. Like, I don't bring a whole lot of value. And over time, when you're doing that over and over, and so you have good games, you go 3 for 4 with 3 base hits, or 3 for 3, draw a walk, 3 base hit, like you're getting on base, but it's like, but this isn't like the player profile, right? Like not that like everyone wants to hit homers. I don't even need homers. I just want to be hitting the ball in the gaps and driving guys in. And yeah, over time, I just wasn't doing that. And what I've told people is the game will let you know, and the game let me know, like, hey, it's time to move on. So that's where I'm at. And it didn't take long to get the baseball pants back on with, my new job that I'm doing.
You're going to laugh at me. I tried to say hi. My kid, my youngest, interned with the Nashville MLS team. I have a college buddy that lives in Nashville. So she lived with him. And then she drove there. So I flew into town with my wife, her older sister. We go there and we're picking her up. And you are playing in a Nashville Sounds game in Nashville. And so I came up to the security dude and I said, hey, I'd like to see Jake before he gets on the bus. And they go, well, do you know? Well, no, not really. If you told him Doug Franz wants to say hi, he's going to say, I don't know who that is. But if you say Doug from Doug and Wolf wants to say hi, he'll go, well, I know who that is, but why does he want to say hi? It would just be weird. But if it's easy, and the security guy was weird, so I never pursued it. And I had 3 beers because my buddy was driving. But it was, to me, honestly, it was a shock because I'm just looking through the rosters and I see your name. And I admit, after you left the Diamondbacks, I know like immediately when you went to the A's, but I didn't follow everything else. So what was that like when you knew you're kind of hanging on, kind of not hitting the marks that you want to hit, but you knew you could still hit the ball?
It is what it is, man. Like it's, at times it was definitely tough, but I think, looking back on it, it was more me putting, I don't want to say unrealistic, because you should have borderline unrealistic expectations for yourself if you want to be great. So I don't want to mix my words with that. But I think, I've said this to people. I heard Kevin Pillar say this when he kind of announced his retirement. He did it on a podcast. And he said he took the failures way harder than he took the successes. The successes were kind of like, well, this is what I'm working for. This is what I'm expecting. And then it's like all the failures in between, those would just hit me so hard. I say so hard of like, oh, I gotta, it's my swing. It's this and that. I'm going to get back in the lab. I'm going to get back to work, like in a good way, but I do wish, like, the successes, I wish I would have sat with those as well a little bit longer. Like, even I look back, and even after my best years of my MLB career, like 16 and 17, I had bad second halves, and I walked away from those seasons like, dude, I need to get so much better. Like, it was almost like what was fresh in my mind was a tough
make sure I'm right. 16, you're in the final weird internet vote and didn't get to be an all-star. And 17, you were a clear all-star, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But leaving those seasons, I still go back and it's like, man, I have so much work to do. And I remember kind of what was still in my mind and fresh was like, I viewed it as a failure. And I look back now, it's like, dude, that's too bad, because, man, like, those were some incredible seasons, and a perfect season, you want to go like this, right? And it's just like, oh, man, you're just playing baseball. Mine went here, and I was up here. I still finished at the same spot. I'm a career, 240-ish hitter. Yeah. Like, it's just, you start listening to the people talking about it, and you start hearing these voices, and it's like, dude, I'm not a 300 hitter. And it's not to say I don't want to be, but that's not who I was. Like, and I tried so hard to, I wanted to play every day. I joke with Tori. I was like, man, if I could go back when you guys started talking about platooning, I wish I said, hey, where do I sign up? Because trying to get so much better against lefties, I lost my bread and butter, which was dominating right-handed pitching. I worked so hard to be in the lineup against lefties that I lost. I just assumed, hey, this is just going to be there. And, you know, other things happen too, right? Like the game itself completely changed in my span from 14 to last season. The game was played sinkers at the bottom on the corners. That was my honey hole, you know, but like now it's velo at the top and it is ice cold up there for me. So like you also have to be, again, real with yourself. And it's like, you know, my little brother actually texted me that. He's like, dude, you got to understand that, like, you got to remember that the game completely changed while you were playing and while you were kind of coming back from injury and all this stuff. Like it did. It was like, boom, hey, we throw 96 plus now and it's all at the top of the zone. So much, you know, strike to ball, guys throwing 100 and you're getting 2-0 sliders. And that's just where the game's at. And the game's really difficult. And not to segue into my job, but it's like, that is what I'm bringing. Like, I'm teaching from my successes, but man, I'm teaching so much from my failures. And I think you can truly grow as a person, as a player, as a coach, when you can take those failures. It doesn't have to be immediate, but like you take those failures, you can learn from them. And then if I can teach one guy, 2 guys, you know, from my mistakes, whether it's trying too hard to get better against lefties where I don't work on what has gotten me to this level, dominating righties. That's a small example, but there's so many things.
That's a great example. I got to know, for those of you that are watching or listening right now, it's the official title is Player Developer Advisor. I had to write that down. And I ask you this in line of the job that you're doing, even though it's a personal question. When did you finally respect yourself in the sense of the job that you did? Because it's really strange. I'm the talk show host. I'm watching you play. I'm arguing with fans. This guy's an all-star, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm the same dude, not to be a jerk, that when it starts to go south, I'm saying we should start thinking about platooning. We should start thinking about trading and we should sell high. We should do this. That's my job. I'm sure you didn't wake up every morning and think, I can't wait to hear what Doug says today. But it's got to be the weird point of your life where everyone's saying what they need to do with your life. You're supposed to remove that. And yet, as I sit here one-on-one with you, I'm still high school Harry, unbelievably jealous of your career. Do you respect what you accomplished, even though it didn't get to what you wanted it to be eventually?
Oh, yeah.
Now, how do you pass that on to other kids that they can do what you did, respect the process, be happy with where they are while they still want more, but balancing both?
Letting them know that if you don't go this route, these are the paths that this is where your mind's going to go. If you don't respect yourself in terms of how hard the game is, you can go down these paths. And it's more of just being extremely real with these players of like, yeah, sure, you can go down this route and not be happy with the season that you had and be way too hard on yourself. But that's a lonely road, my friend. That is a very lonely road. And you go so far down that road, guess what? Eventually you hit that dead end. You're going to turn right back around and might take a week. It might take a year, a month, but like eventually you're going to be like, this ain't it. I need to, whether it's my teammates, my family, like I need to get out of this rut and get back online. When you're thinking so much about all the behind the scenes stuff, like, man, we got 2 lefties this series. I better face one. If I don't face both one of these, then I'm going to be pissed. And dude, it's all BS, man. It is all BS. And I don't have any regrets. It's just more of like, man, the goal is, and I would say this all the time, especially last year. It's like, I want to come out and win a baseball game today. That's like all I want to do is win a baseball game today. We're here. Why don't we go out and win? And but truly letting guys feel that of like, it helps so much. I mean, rest in peace to Mike Bell. Mike Bell was,
God bless him. Yeah.
In the Diamondbacks organization when I was in the minor leagues. And I'll never forget. He's like, you want to help get yourself out of ruts, focus on winning the baseball game that day, because you'll find yourself, whether it's making a diving play, whether it's, taking 90 feet on a throw from the outfield that's too high so you get an extra 90, whatever it is, like when you can buy into that mindset, it truly helps. Now, it doesn't help if your team is on a 10-game losing streak, and then it's like, well, where do I go now? But like, again, I also bring that perspective of like being on losing teams in the big leagues and then being on winning teams in the big leagues. Like they both bring their pressures. You know, I remember being on some of those bad teams. I mean, in 15 and 16, we weren't great. And man, when your team's going through it, it almost feels like it becomes a little selfish of like, man, we can't get it done day in and day out, whether it's the hitting shows up and the pitching blows it or vice versa. Like it's so hard to win in the big leagues. And then you just fall into this rut of, man, like I feel like I'm being selfish because I'm just trying to get on base for my teammates.
Yeah.
But winning cures all, and that's never going to change.
It's so cool. You'll be surprised by this reference. You sound a lot like Shane Doan. And Donor told me once in a conversation that I just thought was so brilliant. He said, when young guys struggle, they don't compete against their opponent. They start looking around the bench. Okay, I'm doing bad, but I'm doing better than this guy. I'm going to get more ice time than this guy. Okay, and you start comparing yourself to your own teammates. You don't tell anybody that, but that's what you're doing. You're just fighting for ice time, and you're not really thinking about the game. And listening to you talk about Mike Bell, what does a manager want? What do the fans want? What do you want ultimately? If you're working hard to beat the other team, you'll always get every AB that you want. And as soon as you start counting versus everybody else that's roster number 24, 25, 26, man, you're going to end up getting sent down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's, again, I'm guilty of that. You know, I wish I could say I went my whole career and didn't think that, but it happens. And
makes sense.
You know, it goes from like, hey, when I step on the field today, I want to be the best player out here. And if it's not true, I'm gonna think it's true, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And there were times where, whenever I stepped on that field, I was the best player, and I performed that way. And then when you're not performing that way, you're like, well, I'm definitely not the best player on the field today.
Yeah.
And then you start looking down the bench, and you're like, oh, God, he hasn't got a bat in a week, and I think he's better than me right now. Like, I don't know. It's so funny. Like, that's what I also love about this game, man. It will humble you. It will make you feel like you're on top of the world. And the next day it will feel like you're in a dumpster. I mean, everywhere in between. And that's what I'm going back to how proud I am of my career is, man, I've been at the top personally, and I've been at the bottom personally, and I've been on winning teams, playoff teams. I've been on terrible teams.
And nothing was handed to you. You weren't a first-round draft pick, and you touched every level of the minors on your way up. You weren't a hot shot prospect, and you earned it.
Yeah, and I'm very proud of that. And I think along the way, it's like you get caught up in expectations of myself, what people are saying. And it's like I lost that for a sec, and it's like, dude. Never in a million years did I think I wanted to be, but coming out of high school, like I played JV my freshman year. I got like one game on varsity. Sophomore year, I was a 9-hole hitting. I hit like 216 my sophomore year on varsity, but like I wasn't good.
Yeah,
I was good at baseball, but like, you know, like I didn't start lifting weights until my junior year. And especially with where the game's at now, trust me, I'm not in the travel ball game yet. I still have time. But it's just like, man, if you're good and you can play, you'll be seen. That doesn't mean you're going to be drafted out of high school, but like if you can play the game.
You know, there are stories of Gonzo yelling at umpires when his kid was coming up. So when Rainey's playing softball, are you going to be the coach? Are you going to be quiet in the stands? Are you going to be pacing? What kind of dad are you going to be?
I don't know, man. I actually just
I can tell you're nervous.
I got her first bat and ball and tee for her birthday, along with a couple other things. But I was like, you know what? It's at least going to be out there. So if you're going to pick that thing up, I hope it's from the left side, or at least, you know.
Teacher,
I have no idea.
Ways.
Just because if I start hearing coaches say the wrong things, or especially these kids at the young age, like if you are killing the love for the game for these kids,
amen.
That's where I'm going to have a serious.
And you know how they do it? It's when they stress that by the time you're 8, you need to be playing one sport. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Let them breathe.
Yeah.
What I want to know from you before I let you go now, because you might not realize it, even though I never asked you about your new job, you talked about your new job all the time because your story is going to resonate so well and you're going to make these Diamondbacks kids better. So the last question is just simply, now tell me about the new job. Are you going to be sent all over and like you spend a couple days at Reno and then come home for a while and then watch D-backs games? How are you going to manifest all that you can bring to the table?
Yeah, so I will be going to all the affiliates. I would say most of my time will be spent with the minor leaguers, going to every affiliate at least once. AA, AAA, probably a couple times. Again, like those swing guys that are going back and forth, AAA to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I never did. When I got called up, I stayed there, and I stayed there for 8 years, 7 years, and then so like I don't know what it's like as a young kid to go back and forth, or what it's like to get called up on a playoff caliber team. Because that's different, man. Like that's tough. When I was in the big leagues, seeing the AAA kids come up, knowing that they're going to throw an inning or two, get overused, and then get sent back down, I never thought anything of it. But then last couple of years being on the other side of like, damn, this guy's one of our best arms. He's just going like this. He can't find the rhythm. And like, that's tough, man. Whether guys will be honest about it or not, that is very hard to do.
Well,
that's hard to do from a competitive standpoint, let alone like that's hard to do if you're a single guy with no family or anything, let alone if you have a wife, if you have kids. Like that's tough, man.
People don't realize humans are playing.
And I think that is going to be definitely one of my strengths, is connecting with the human first, to understand how these, do you need a pat on the back every now and then? Do you need me to yell at you? Everyone's different. And I'm not saying like, oh, I got to pat this guy in the back and I can't, get into him a little bit. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is everyone is different. As a player, I wanted you to be so brutally honest with me because I want to get from A to B. I want to get better. So let me know. What do I'm not hitting lefties. Got it. You need me to get better on my glove side to third. Got it. Like I didn't take it personal, but in life, there are some people that take constructive criticism differently, and you have to be aware of that. And if you're not, then you just don't really know how people work.
Yes. Which brings up the next topic. The next time I can talk to you into coming on, leadership, Goldie, life without Goldie when he was gone. All of that stuff is the next time. I'm going to drive you nuts. You set the parameters. I don't know, once a month, once every 2 months, but this was so good. I want to have you on again. You didn't ask for advice, but I'm going to give it to you anyway, since I'm the old man in the room. Talk to the young guys about what this organization is like and how they treat people that are good people. I'm not sucking up to you, but you were always one of the good people. And when you're one of the good people, the Diamondbacks, I'm sure a lot of organizations say they do this. I've never seen an organization like this, the way they take care of their own, that as long as you're a good person, they're going to find a role for you. And I can't imagine if I'm 18, 19, 21, 23, if I'm a baseball player, I could care less about retirement. I would be like, what are you talking about? I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm going to make all this money. And they don't know what the other side is like. And you represent, hey, be a good guy. This organization will take care of you. Look at me. And they need to see that more than anything else.
No, for sure. But you saying that, it's like, if I didn't play in the minor leagues the last few years, I don't know if I would have hopped right back in, because I think there would have been a little bit of like, I don't know if I want to work with minor league guys and all this stuff.
Yeah.
There's a bit of ego in there. And man, it was, again, like, I don't want to say fell in love with the game, but it was, there were times where the big leagues felt so far away, and it was just like, screw it, man. Let's go win today. Let's go win tonight. And there's just a lot of, I feel like I can help the coaches too, because I'm so fresh. That's another big thing that I want to do is not to say that I never want to be the smartest man in the room. I want to listen and learn from everyone. but there's these young kids are so talented now, and it's just different how these guys come up. And so how you communicate with them, how you push them, especially being in a locker room with a lot of young guys the last couple of years, like I feel like I can help the coaches just as much as I can help the players. And I'm so excited for it. And to finish on what you were saying, I will be going to Chase, being on the field for BP every now and then, and going up and watching the game with Hayes and Amiel and those guys. Cause I want to, it's a part-time job. And so my whole thing was, I want to see what I want to do long-term. I don't think, at least right now, I know I don't want to be a full-time hitting coach, but man, I love hitting. I'm obsessed with it. I think I bring a lot of value in it, but like we talked about earlier, it's just going to kind of be all of it. I'll be, like I said, I'll be in draft meetings. I'll be,
that's cool.
Watching guys. I want to see how it all operates. Cause as a player, I always just told myself, hey, you play well, it'll all take care of yourself. And I was just like this, blinders on, like almost naive to what's going on behind the scenes. And it's just like, dude, if I just play well and we win, everything will take care of itself. And it did for a while.
Yeah.
And then you don't play well, then you don't win, and then you're out of a job. And it's like, I want to see how everything works. And to close this off, I was with, including Arizona, 11 different organizations from 2000.
I didn't guess that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think the big leagues with 7 of them, 8 of them. Man, I was with the Dodgers in the big leagues in AAA with the Dodgers. I was with the Yankees in AAA. I was with I've been with so many organizations. I've seen what the great ones do well and what the not so great ones don't do well. And I feel like the main thing is just communicating, man. And it's communicating within coaches. We're preaching the same plan. We're saying the same things. We are a unit, right? Like they need to trust us that we're all on the same page. Because when we're not on the same page in the coach's room, the way it's spoken to the players, it just seems messy. And it doesn't seem like it's like you're confident in your message. I also wouldn't, if I didn't enjoy the people that are still here, that goes, Torrey, Fitz, Amiel, Derek Hall, Hayes, all these guys. Like I love it here, man. And I never thought I was never like, man, they're not playing me or I'm playing bad. I need to go somewhere else. It was just one of those beautiful things of like, man, I've been all over now. And
now you realize
I love it here. I love the way they communicate. I love what they're about. And I'm excited to try to move the needle in the minor leagues. And if I can then help the big league team in any way or, really anyone in the building, that's what I'm here to do. And to answer your question before, I'm happy to hop on, a couple times with you. This has been fun.
I love it. Well, 2 things then. Number one, just know I'm a professional. So once you say 20 minutes, I stopped asking questions 20 minutes ago, but I want you to talk forever. So you keep going. You do it as long as you look at yourself and don't blame me. And number 2, as a girl dad, I can guarantee you, take Rainey golfing. The conversations you get into in the golf cart with your 4-year-old daughter, your 8-year-old daughter, your 12-year-old daughter, the times I've made my kid cry in a sand trap because I'm getting mad at her. No, open the club face. And you start to learn how to be a better dad and communicate. You learn more as a dad on a golf course with your kid than anywhere else in the world. So get her clubs too.
Okay. Well, I would never yell at her in the sand trap to open her club face because I don't know how to get out of the sand just yet. So, I mean, again, I'm a good self-evaluator, Doug.
There you go. You know your place. All right. Happy birthday to Rainey.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jake. Coming up next, more of a deep dive into the 2026 season now that pitchers and catchers have reported and what Torey Lovello and general manager Mike Hazen have to say about the season upcoming. That's next on Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. The word nothing is actually a good thing when you call Parker & Sons heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. You see, the nothing is you don't pay for a weekend fee, an emergency fee, a nighttime fee, or any other made-up fee. Of course, you pay for the service, but Parker & Sons doesn't charge you like you've inconvenienced them to help you. When you have any issues with your heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical,
there's one place to call, 602-2-REPAIR. That's 602, the number 2, then REPAIR for Parker and Sons.
It's big, it's juicy, it's meaty. Get your burrito at Burrito Express. If you're having a hangover, a bad day, even a good day, still get your burrito at Burrito Express. It will make you feel better.
Still a ton more Diamondbacks to talk about. Pretty big episode today. Hopefully I get the podcast up on time. I'm hoping to get it up by 6. It's 5 o'clock right now. I just got finished editing the Jake Lamb that you were listening to. How fantastic was he? I mean, I remember talking to him tons of time in the clubhouse, never really personally, never really one-on-one a lot, but we had him on Doug and Wolf a lot, and especially during spring training, and good dude. But if we had him with a teammate, then he was pretty lively. But if he was just one-on-one, it was, yeah, this is part of my job. I should be talking to the media, but it wasn't real passionate. And man, you could just hear the passion for the game dripping right off of him in that conversation. It feels like, after listening to him, that it was a great move to bring him in. Okay, let's get kind of the state of the team and run through a lot of the things that the general manager and the manager had to say yesterday, and then a little bit of a pitching update. First day, pitchers and catchers reporting yesterday. Obviously, the number one topic all offseason was whether or not Ketel Marte was going to be a Diamondback. Here's GM Mike Hazen.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a decision not to trade him. I feel like us exploring something like that is part of my job and having to do it. And unfortunately, I think with the injuries we took on last year, if none of those injuries had taken place and the roster was very well built out, maybe I'm taking a much different tact on the season. I felt like, given the injuries to our pitching staff and where we're walking into this season and trying to be able to fill all of these holes that are on the roster from the free agents we walked away from last year at the end of the year, we knew last year with the 5 free agents, 6 free agents, that we were going to be creating a lot of holes that we were going to then have to fill. And, it was something that I just felt a responsibility to explore, but we never really came close to doing it. And I walked through all that with him. He and I have had a number of conversations. We had dinner together, and, I think I don't ever expect the player to fully understand it because they don't want to, and that's the way they're wired, and I appreciate that. I also, I told him I apologized, not for doing my job or the things that I felt like I had to do, but more so that his name was so out there in public. Unfortunately, a player of his caliber, that's what happens during a baseball offseason. It's a very interesting subject, and I don't take that lightly that I was putting or not taking off, taking his name out of the marketplace. And so we kind of talked through those things, but he is very much committed to being here and being an elite baseball player for us. And we haven't hit the highs as a baseball team in this organization since I've been here without him being here.
Listening to him say that, let me come out with my official opinion on that. I don't believe Ketel Marte was ever going to spend another day with another team. I don't. I think this is a mistake. I will say this forever. I think it's a mistake not to trade Ketel Marte. I don't think he's the type of player you give a no-trade clause to. And in case you don't know, that's a technicality. He's not getting a no-trade clause in his contract. He's earning one through the CBA between the owners and the Players Association. It's not a Diamondbacks clause. It's any player who has spent 10 years in the big leagues, 5 years with the same team, can block a trade. And you can understand why the MLBPA fought for that. Because, hey, you're a veteran. You've been in the game 10 years. And if you've had 5 straight years with the same team, that's now your life. That's now your home. You should get a vote if you get uprooted from your home. And you paid your dues, so give the guy the ability to block it. And the team had the right to trade him before that. This becomes official about halfway through the month of April. I forget the exact date, but at some point in April is when he picks up his 10-5 rights.
I would not let him get there. I would trade him. And I would trade him because you need a lot more pitching and because I think it's good to clear the clubhouse of what happened last year. But I don't think that was ever their intention. I think they wanted to send him a message. Hey, the way you were acting, the fact that you were not being a professional, we're going to see if we can move on from you. But they intentionally put the price so high that they would rather have Ketel Marte after learning the lesson than not have Ketel at all, than have the whatever prospects they would get back. I think that was a bluff. I think the whole time that was a bluff to really get Marte's attention. And I don't think they ever really intended to trade him. Here's Torey Lovello.
Very happy. He, as I've told him, he might be the best player I ever managed. He's that talented, and he can turn around games, and he can go out there and light it up as good as anybody. I know that there were some tough times last year, and it's well documented. We've had those conversations. I've had those conversations with you guys. I've had them with Ketel. We're going to learn and grow, and the fact that he's here, I couldn't be more thrilled. He's going to help us win a lot of baseball games.
Okay, the next one, listen, I don't really need to acknowledge that. I think it just validates my opinion, to be honest, what Torey just said. The next one's kind of interesting because this is just a standard, hey, Mike Hazen, tell us about Santana and why you went after him. And listen to how quickly Mike Hazen drifts off of Santana and into an overarching view of last year's defense.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we set off into this offseason, coming off of last year, was a commitment to really fortifying our defense in a lot of the moves that we were trying to make. And, I feel like we've tried to stay somewhat stubborn to that. The offense over the last couple of years has performed admirably up in the top of the league 2 years in a row, and that's great. And we still have a lot of firepower at the top of our lineup. We'll continue to round out and build the bottom part of our lineup. Wanted to make sure that our defense was where it needed to be, and he's an elite defender at that position. And, that there's certainly going to be some days with him, Pavin, mixing in and around there. Still not 100% certain where the DH and all those days are going to be. It seems like Gurriel's a little bit ahead of schedule, so fitting him back onto the club when he comes back will be important. I'm sure there'll be DH days for him needing to be baked in. Ketel's going to do some DHing on days that he doesn't play second. So in and around putting all those pieces together, we really wanted to solidify the corners for this team moving forward, and for the defense to really, from a run prevention standpoint, that's been the reason the last 2 years we haven't made the playoffs. We wanted to make sure that wasn't the case going into this year.
I think he means the reason why they haven't gone to the playoffs the last couple of years is run prevention, not just defense. Defense did have a lot to do with 2025. I don't think defense was the problem in 2024. Could have been better, but I don't think it was the problem. But I do think he meant run prevention was the problem, and he's saying that is overarching, that there were games that the defense didn't make the plays, and sometimes it's not an error. There's a rule in baseball that you can't assume a double play. I've never liked that. I think it's dumb. It's really not a rule for the game. It's a rule for the official scorer. So if the second baseman bobbles a ground ball and doesn't throw it to second to get the force out, and he instead throws it to first and gets the force out there, it's not an error. Even though the pitcher should have gotten a double play, even though the pitcher should be out of the inning, let's say, he's now not because you dropped the ball, but you don't get an error. I've always said, why not? If it's a routine ground ball and we can all see that should be a double play, why can't we assume that it was a double play? Because we can. I've always had the funny retort when someone says, well, you can't assume a double play. I would say, yes, I can. I just did. I assumed that should have been a double play. Well, you can't. Well, yes, I can. Now, truthfully, the other guy doesn't understand. I'm arguing my opinion versus his fact. It is baseball rules you can't assume a double play, and I say, yes, I can assume a double play. And therefore, let's change the rule. This was then interesting because of his statement about defense and run prevention. It was brought up, what is spring training going to look like? And that had Mike Hazen drift into how he expects spring training to more positively affect April?
I feel like in the 10 years we've been here, we are very well prepared, and our April records reflect that. I feel like, and he's and I have talked about that, I felt like we were a little sloppy last year in spring training, and I do feel like that bled into the season. And, you know, whether that needs to mean we're training harder or differently, I feel like he covers spring training very completely. But we have talked about last year it was sloppy in spring training, and that bled into the regular season. And are those things connected? I don't know, but I don't want to find that out the hard way this year. And neither does he. So, like, you know, we were dropping balls in the infield that even our most shorthanded players were doing. And what we've talked about, not wanting to hear is it's just spring training. This team cannot take the attitude that anything is just X. Like, we need to be ready to go. Our April schedule is going to reflect that. But every April is important. I don't care what the schedule looks like. But this one's going to be extremely challenging from a at least on paper, from a where our position is at.
It bothers me that it's taken this long to get there. And I'm sure, you know, if Mike was listening right now, he would be frustrated that I've said that. He would say, listen, my point was we've always taken April serious. Well, I know that you say you have, but how many times this organization has repeatedly said the phrase, it's early, when they struggle in April, drives me nuts. And then when you look at the last 2 years in a row, you have a chance to go to the playoffs. Last day of the year 2 years ago, last weekend of the season last year, and they don't because they don't get it done. It's not just because you didn't get it done in September. And it wasn't because of the injuries last year, because the defense was terrible before guys got hurt. So the issues were the issues. The other stuff, okay, that became a problem later. But if they would have focused, if they would have played good baseball, they would have won games in March and April that ended up being losses, that if those were wins, they would be a playoff team. And so you didn't take April seriously. You did think it was early and will rebound because I was watching. You can see it. There's no way they make some of the errors they made if they're focused coming out to start the season. So Torey Lovullo was asked about Mike Hazen's comment saying, hey, do you look at it the same way that you guys are, in a sense, going to be more ready than last year?
I think we're going to create some higher intensity practice. You know, I don't want to be misleading. We always try to do that, but I think things maybe got away from us last year, and we played sloppy baseball defensively in the first month and a half of the season, and we were playing catch up. I don't like that. I want to get out in front and be a pace setter and do things the right way at the right pace. So, yeah, I think we're going to ramp up some of the intensity with some of the drill work from a defensive standpoint specifically. I can't ask the pitchers to do anymore. I'm watching them. Things are coming out hot. Things are looking really, really good. But from a defensive standpoint, I want us to be a little bit more ready than we were last year.
Okay, moving off the defense, even though in a different quote, Mike Hazen made it clearly apparent, and I played that part of it for you on the 4-minute offense, that, listen, a lot of the problems last year with the bullpen and the pitching were because we weren't making the outs we're supposed to defensively. Maybe the pitchers don't have to pitch as long, or maybe that run that scored after the error would not have scored, and maybe we would have won that game if we would have made the play. So, yes, the pitcher gave up the base hit that knocked in the unearned run, but why was the run unearned? Now, he didn't quite say it like that. That was not a direct quote at all, but that was his point, that it wasn't all the pitching last year. So he dove into defense, and then pitching became the topic because Andrew Southfrank was going to be counted on as a stud lefty, and who knows, he might have moved into a closer role until Puck and Martinez are back from Tommy John, and now he's out for the year. Southfrank had a shoulder issue. He fought it last year, and they thought it would settle down at some point now, and it never did. So he had surgery, and he's out for the year. So not only were you already worried about the bullpen,
Now you lost one of your key lefties in the bullpen.
It certainly thins out the left side going into the season. It's something we're cognizant of and still in the market to continue to improve and enhance. I mean, there'll be opportunity for some of the younger lefties, but we're in the market still to not ideal given what he did last year. Don't think where he was at physically it was going to last successfully. Obviously, he was having some shoulder soreness, and he dealt with a little bit of that at the end of the year last year, but pitched through it. I think the thought that he was going to get through another 162 days was probably too much, and that's why we kind of went in this direction. But there's certainly bullpens that don't have lefties as long as our righties are platoon neutral. We don't have a ton of those guys, so we'll probably build back into the left side of things as we continue to move forward. There's still a lot of opportunity on the market right now.
What he was saying there at the end, if you didn't quite catch it, it's not an issue to not have lefties. Because if you have righties that have the cross splits that can get out lefties, then you're fine. But then he admitted we don't have that. So we've got to go out and get left-handed pitching. Speaking of getting pitching, I don't know why this wasn't asked to Mike Hazen, the GM, but it was asked to Torey Lovullo of, Zach Gallen's still a free agent.
Zach's an incredible pitcher. And I don't know exactly what's going on. I don't know why he's still out there. But, if something happens and he walks back into this clubhouse, we would welcome him with open arms, certainly. Is there an open locker for him? No. I know where his locker was, and I saw that it was not open. But I can't understand exactly what's going on. I'm not so well versed on all of that right now. But I'm a little surprised that somebody hasn't gone after him at this point.
I don't know how he meant that in the middle there, but I'm wondering if that was a JD Martinez reference. It was really funny. A couple years ago, probably a long time ago, probably about this might have been 2018. But JD Martinez, Diamondbacks trade for him. He rakes like crazy, helps lead them into the postseason, becomes a free agent. And pitchers and catchers report, and I don't remember whether it was pitchers and catchers or full squad workouts. JD Martinez is still a free agent, hasn't signed with anybody, and he has a locker in the Diamondbacks clubhouse at Salt River Fields. They never got rid of his locker, which was funny because it was almost like saying, hey, we think he's coming. And the media saw it and asked Mike Hazen about it the next time he was available, or Torey Lovullo, one of them, and they were kind of embarrassed, like, oh, yeah, you saw that, did you? It's like, well, how do we handle this? And it showed that they thought they had him, and they didn't get him. And so that's an interesting little tidbit there by Torey Lovullo, and I don't know if he means it as we learned our lesson to let you guys think we are going to get somebody, so we've given away his locker to make sure we don't have to answer any questions about Zach having a locker, or if it's a case where guys wake up. You know how we are. If there's a guy that we think we're going to sign, we go ahead and keep his locker ready to go, and we didn't do that this time, so that shows you probably not going to get him. Lastly, on the Diamondbacks, here is Mike Hazen kind of staring down the expectations. The typical question, where are your expectations? I want you to hear this because I'm always amazed at this man's honesty when other GMs would, the World Series is always the goal, or the goal is to get better a little bit every day. If you get 10% better, and like all these weird cliches, and Hazen's just like, we're not as good as last year, so what? Win the game anyway. I just love that attitude.
We're not one player away from being a good team or a great team. Like those players, we need them, and when they come back, it will enhance what we're doing. We're not one player away from being the best version of the team that we can be, and so there's no excuse for us not to be the best version of whatever team we go out there and compete with. And that team, this team with these players, is a very competitive team in my mind. there is a lot of talent on this roster. It's not, I think, where we were 365 days ago, talking in a little different context. I think that should be understandable that, last year on paper where we stood, given the additions we had made versus today, we're probably standing in a slightly different place. But that there's no ceiling on what these guys are able to accomplish in my mind. And I don't have expectations going out into the season other than we're going to play our best baseball starting on day one, and that's what spring training is for. And that's my expectation. And that our coaches are going to pour every ounce of their energy into making the players that are here a better version of themselves. That's my expectation.
There's been times I've gotten, fire Mike Hazen emails, both when I was working on the old show and even as a podcaster. I've always disagreed with him. I think Hazen is fantastic. Last year, I did feel like what I don't want for next year was Torey Lovello and Ketel Marte. One of them had to go. And obviously my opinion doesn't matter because we have them both. I don't think Torey did the job he needed to do in the last couple of years because I think he had a playoff team and wasn't able to manage them into the playoffs for 3 years straight. And I do appreciate, however, the boldness to keep him. Because how do you know the next guy is truly going to be better? Yet the problem with this year is how do you evaluate Torey? Because I don't look at this team at all and see a playoff team. So what are the expectations now? That's a tough one. Sorry for bumping the mic there, but that's a tough one. All right, coming up next. Not a deep dive, but let's quickly look at Suns and ASU from last night and then versus Vegas. It's Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club, home of the 2026 LPGA Ford Championships at Wild Horse Pass.
Here is Sue Rigler on starting 100 Mile Brewing Company.
What started 100 Mile Brewing Company is I actually have a degree in microbiology from ASU. Go Devils. And went back to school. I found out that UC San Diego had a brewing program, so I enrolled in that. And with the intention of opening a brewery, I came back to Tempe because it's Sun Devil country. I wanted to open a brewery in Tempe, which fresh, it never gets old is our tagline. And I'm pretty much a stickler about fresh beer. It's got to be fresh. Otherwise, it's not going to be served here.
Hi, I'm Angie with Penny Royal Promotions. We decorate blank apparel, screen printing, embroidery, direct to film. Also, we provide promotional products, offset printing, tents, canopies, banners, business cards, anything you can put a logo on. Okay, Unplugged Army, if you own a business, you have an upcoming event, a charity function, golf tournament, we're the official provider of the Unplugged Army. Ask for Angie. I'm this year's Euchre champion.
Hope you like the deep dive today, Diamondbacks wise, for pitchers and catchers reporting yesterday. I'm going to try to get out there this week, but I admit I don't know when. Doctor's appointment today, dentist appointment tomorrow, golf with the Burrito Express boys as long as the rain holds off on Friday. So I'm pretty pumped up. All right, here we go. Oh, that was the soft post. That wasn't the big one, so I'm just getting rid of that music. I don't care how harsh that sounded, pulling it down like that. Let's look at the Suns. Suns a winner last night, 120-111. Really a problem. I've told you before, sometimes you lose, and I'll say, hey, that's not a bad loss because this or this or this happened. Or I'll look at a team that stinks and we'll say, hey, that is a bad loss. You should never have lost that. Or some of the games this year where the Suns, it wasn't a bad loss if you told me they lost before the game. But when we saw how they gave it away in the fourth quarter, well, now it's established that is a bad loss. Yesterday, I'm going to make up a phrase I don't know if I've ever used. That was a bad win. It was a bad win. The Suns were up 36-16 after the first quarter. They were up by 30, I think, at one point in the second quarter. They were all over Dallas.
They end up winning by only 9. Dallas continually cut the lead throughout the game. And here's why that's such a big problem. Yeah, officially, I just cheated and looked it up. Officially, the lead was 31 points, was the biggest lead. You're on the front end of a back-to-back last night. You've got Oklahoma City coming in the next night being tonight. You have the opportunity to sit Jalen Green's hamstring on the bench, sit Booker's ankle on the bench, if you would have sustained that lead, and you didn't. And that's bad. The Suns won the fourth quarter by 12, and won the game by 9. So it was starting to get very hairy at the end of the third quarter, and that's just not. If you want to be special, that's the type of game you got to have. So let's say they lose tonight. No one's going to think of the Dallas game as the reason. There will be pick and roll coverage issues, or there will be quickness issues, or there will be the way Oklahoma City moves the ball, whatever it is. They will, if they win the game, they're going to earn it. And the Dallas game isn't an excuse. But you weren't as prepared as you could have been for the Oklahoma City game if you would have taken care of business like you should have with a 30-point lead over Dallas. Devin Booker and Jalen Green should not have played in the fourth quarter. That's not a call out of Jordan Ott, because of course they had to play in the fourth quarter because the Suns blew the lead. But it was needed for them to be on the bench. Goodwin and Green, part of the issue, they went 2 for 8 from 3. Dylan Brooks went 1 for 10 from 3. That was a killer. And then the other killer were free throws. This is staggering to me. I've never seen a number like this. The Suns shot 9 free throws. 67%. They went 6 of 9 from the free throw line. Okay, 6 of 9. Shot 9 free throws. Dallas shot 44 free throws and made 32 of them. 32 of 44. Yesterday's game was a lot of fun in the first quarter and a half to see our favorite team just explode with an onslaught of points and hustle. That was fun. And then after that onslaught, it was almost like the refs didn't want the game to get out of hand. And I'm not necessarily calling it fixed. I agreed with a lot of the fouls that were called, but it just seemed fishy for the Suns to blitzkrieg Dallas for the first 15 minutes of the game, and then suddenly the Suns can't play defense anymore without fouling. Speaking of which, Jordan Ott said something I just thought was brilliant. I just thought was absolutely brilliant. Because remember what we talked about with Tommy Lloyd. When you make it a big deal, the referees make it a big deal. And then it's a problem. And your team makes it a big deal when you want them to just play.
We saw it the whole night. Everyone in the arena felt it. I mean, if that stoppage of play and then go play against, it's like they're all connected. The game of basketball, you don't get to blow the whistle and sub units out, quite like football, or stop plays. It's all connected. So they get downhill, they get to the free throw line. We got to play against a set defense. It makes it harder to score. Then they're able to get in transition, get to the free throw line. It was frustrating for everyone. I don't think anyone that was watching that was probably too happy that they spent the time watching all those whistles. So, I don't know. We'll take a look, just like everyone else.
Clearly not happy. Hey, boring. I'm sure a lot of people didn't like listening and watching all those whistles. We'll take a look. Doesn't change the fact we can't let it happen. Can't let it in our head. That's why I'm a big fan of him. Going back to my point before about not finishing this game off, that was one of the last questions to Jordan Ott, and I really liked it. It was from Dwayne Rankin of, where you're sitting there thinking, hey, I'm going to get Devin off his feet. I'm going to get Jalen Green on the bench. And then, oh no, now I've got to go back to these guys because you couldn't hold on to that 31-point lead.
Yep, totally. Totally. We knew it there. End of the third into the fourth. We knew that was the time period to really try to extend it so we didn't have to bring them back in. But, some nights that's just what it is. Like, we had to bring it in, bring those guys back in, bring Book back in to finish it out. So happy to get the win, any win, especially here heading into All-Star break. Feels good.
I like how he never sugarcoats it, but never explodes it either. And I'm not good. I'm great at the former. I'm not good at the latter. I look at a lot of the things that I see that are positive and negative, and I'm so driven to correct the negative, kind of back to some of the conversation points that we had with Jake Lamb, that I don't allow the positives necessarily to seep in. I expect the positives. I don't have time for the positives. They're positive. Why do I need to work on it? Why do I need to celebrate it? I need to fix the negatives. And sometimes you can be consumed by that. He is not sugarcoating the fact that, yeah, absolutely, I was thinking about sitting them the rest of the fourth quarter. That was important. That needed to be done. We can't miss out on opportunities like that. But it's what we needed, so they came back in. We got to win. Happy with the win. And that's a great attitude. I'm not going to allow the way the game ended to take away our joy of winning. But I will be bringing up, guys, great win, good job. But we put ourselves behind the 8 ball a little bit against OKC because we could have rested a lot of guys. We could have gotten a lot more minutes for our young guys. So that was a missed opportunity. We all agree? We missed that opportunity. Okay, don't let up. Don't look at the score. Don't let up. And I think, boom, end of message. And that's what's pretty cool about Jordan Knott. Steven, I think it was Steven. No, it wasn't Steven this time. It was somebody else. Asked an interesting question. It was almost like the guy was hitting that should Jalen Green just come off the bench the rest of the year? He said Jalen Green seemed to have a good chemistry with the twos and seemed to be, in a good shot rhythm with the twos. What do you like about Jalen Green kind of running the second unit?
And we're going to have to go through some growing pains because it's kind of been Colin's unit for such a long time. Grayson was involved in that at times. And we play a lot through also. I thought today, just overall, our movement, Ryan was a big piece of that. Just our overall movement. I thought Amir gave us good minutes, especially in the first half, where he was able to make a big impact. We just need more movement with that group. And also he's such a good passer that we can play through him. But it all starts with that unit on the defense. It's not going to change. That's a unit that we got to be disruptive. And then when we get in transition, that's where we can use Jalen. In the half court, we'll play some pick and roll with them, and then the same thing, the small pick and roll. So that's the idea. That's at least what we'll try to tap into initially when we get back from the All-Star break, when we have a little bit of time to practice. But yeah, that's the idea.
Again, another brilliant answer, and here's why. If you just flat out say, yes, Jalen Green is going to come off the bench for the rest of the year, and he's the main guy with the twos, well, now you've probably upset Jalen Green because he's never come off the bench in his life until this year, but he gets it because he's on limited minutes. Great way to limit the minutes is to bring him off the bench. So you don't want to say that to him, though. But then where did he go? He says, hey, we still got a lot to work on with that group. I still got a lot of learning to do. I love when he just admits I don't have the answers yet to what they need. But he was hinting that it used to be run by Colin and Grayson Allen are the kings of the twos. And now we keep having to promote guys from second string because of injuries, or in Colin Gillespie's case, because he just took the starting job because he's been playing. He had played so well. I'm a little worried now Gillespie's in a slump, but he's played so well all year, he just took the starting job. So now what? And he says, first of all, when we're talking about the second unit, look at the way Ryan Dunn played. Had a great game yesterday. Look at Oso and his double-double. And that group, it's always going to be about defense. That group, it's going to be about defense. And I need more movement from those guys. We were a little stagnant on offense. Yet he never says,
Jalen Green is the leader of the bench. He's the leader of the twos. He just says, hey, the plan is for right now for Jalen Green to be used with that group, and we got a lot to work on with him. And that's exactly what you say, the plan for now. But I do agree it should just be the rest of the year. Just be done with it. Hey, for the rest of the year, you're there. And, famously, Steve Kerr did it with, who was it? I can't remember. I think it was Andre Iguodala. Yeah. Andre Iguodala had been moved to the bench as a defensive stopper. And then in game 7, it's the first time he started him in a long time. So a big speech, you need to go to the bench. It's best for the team. Iguodala didn't like it, but he did it. And then good things followed. And all of a sudden on game 7, that's when Kerr said, we need a little more. That's my spark. And I hope Jalen Green embraces that. Sure, he's a starter on next year's team. We wish he was a starter on this year's team. But I do think it would be a great thing to talk to him about in the All-Star break of saying, Jalen, I hope you know you're part of our future. I hope you know you're going to be starting alongside Book for many years. But for the rest of this year, it's just working right now how it is. So we're going to stick with that. And I think Jalen, seeing the sacrifice of his teammates game in and game out, believes this is a team that sacrifices for each other. And I think he would actually take that. And then this last one from Jordan Knott, it's not real strategic, but I think it's really interesting from the standpoint for all of us to learn how to almost run a company. Or how do we be a boss? How do we give freedom to the people we hire? The famous phrase, hire smart people and let them do their job. Well, Jordan Ott was asked about the importance of feeling the freedom to shoot and how everybody on this team, it's basically they're allowed to shoot it and they're all 3-point shooters. And how important is that mindset for you to remind them simply to shoot?
Yeah, everyone needs to be a threat. Everyone needs to be a threat on the floor, both sides. Like, you don't want something even defensively to where there's a crack. Everyone has to be able to guard the basketball and feel supported defensively. Offensively, it's the same. This is a hard game. It's a hard to go out there to make a shot from 25 feet away. So the best we can do, you put the time in, you practice, you feel good about it, and then you go out there and you perform. And that's where we want these guys to feel like we have their back no matter what. They have the ultimate confidence to shoot high-quality shots because they put the work in, and we trust them. Everyone that steps out there, we want to let it go, play free, but also play our style of basketball. And hopefully a part of our style of basketball is the confidence piece where everyone out there feels like they can be a threat.
Reason why I'm such a big fan of that comment is all of them have free reign as long as it's a shot they're working on, as long as it's a shot that they put the time in. I always laughed when, as a soccer coach, somebody thought I was showing favoritism. There was a family that consistently thought their daughter was really good and being held back by me. And they thought I was continually playing a player that was worse than their daughter and thought I was showing her favoritism. And they challenged me on that, saying clearly she's your favorite instead of my daughter. And what I told them was something that just blew their mind. I did the one thing they never thought I would do. I agreed with them. I said, yes, this other girl is I'm showing favoritism. I'm showing favoritism to the kids who do what I say. I'm showing favoritism to the kids who run. I'm showing favoritism to the kids who actually challenge for the ball from the other team. I'm showing favoritism to the kids that come to practice every day. I'm showing favoritism to this player, full well knowing that if your daughter gives maximum effort and she gives maximum effort, your daughter is better. But I don't know when maximum effort is coming. Is it going to come tomorrow? Is it going to come right now? Will it come in the second half? Or will it just not join us today? Since I don't know that, well, then I want to play the player. I know what I'm getting because then I can at least coach everybody else. And I just started thinking of that with Jordan Ott talking about everybody's got to be a threat, both offensively and defensively. We can't have a hole defensively, and we can't have a guy that's just taking up space offensively. And if you're working on being great, I want you in the game. So who's the one doing the work? And does your boss treat you like that? Or if you are a boss, do you truly treat the people on your team like the players and make sure you're putting them in positions to win and getting out of the way? Do they feel the freedom to do their job? And if they don't, well, then what are you doing? How much more efficient could you be if you weren't babysitting? It's really an interesting thing to look at. Let's do some quick Sun Devils. ASU a winner yesterday. And I mean real quick, I hate to say it as much as I'm a big Devils fan. They don't deserve too much time. But again, I started Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, to always be a show that you can count on. That if it happened last night, we're going to spend some time talking about it. And that way, you get to follow your team, despite the fact we had a long Kyler discussion, long DBACKS discussion, and a medium length Suns discussion. Sun Devils still played last night. They were a winner, 85-76. Really interesting that they out-rebounded the Cowboys by 9 after the beatdown from Bobby Hurley. This is twice in a press conference Bobby Hurley has given the team a beatdown, and they have responded, which is pretty shocking. It kind of shows that Bobby was not getting the most out of them earlier in the year, and yeah, that's on Bobby. But at the same time, the players had a lot of growing up to do, and that's going to be a problem with a lot of programs, because you're going to be going to the transfer portal, you're going to be bringing guys up, you're going to be going to Europe to do whatever it takes to get the best talent, and in doing so, you got to be able to bring the team together chemistry-wise. I think that's why Tommy Lloyd is one of the coaching, I just hiccuped, is a coach of the year candidate, not just because they've won almost every game. I mean, of course that makes you a coach of the year candidate, but the amount of freshmen he's coaching and then bridging that gap and bringing them together with a senior in Jaden Bradley, it's just a phenomenal coaching job. And ASU has not been able to gel it together really in any way. Here is Bobby Hurley after the game talking about one of the major keys he thought was turnovers, and ASU turned it over 11 times, but they forced 17 from Oklahoma State.
Turning them 17 times was big for us because we didn't shoot it great. Again, like this is the second time in 3 games that we went 5 for 20, I think, against Utah, and 5 for 21 tonight from 3, and still were able to win. So that's good, because usually we would need to be around 10 made threes in a game to win against an opponent like this. But it's certainly our activity was good. Noah Mayusin was very good down the stretch, handling the ball, making good decisions, had a great pass to Alan McCabe, made his free throws. But he had some sneaky good deflections and steals at key moments. He was very active on the defensive end.
I wonder if they had a long talk with Noah Mayusin. He was really good. And I'm not trying to be a jerk to the young man. Please don't send today's podcast to his parents. But I think he's really underperformed for the vast majority of the season. I don't want to in any way hint, I never knew the kid before he started playing for ASU. So it's not like I did an exhaustive,
Danish basketball study or something like that. And then I'm shocked he isn't living up to expectations. I just mean I can see talent and I don't see it applied. It's not a lazy ball player. It's more of a scared ball player. And last night he did not play scared. And then boom, did a lot of good things. 12 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, and just seemed to be everywhere. Just seemed to be everywhere. And it's interesting that Coach called him out right there, too, in a positive way. And then this last one's just kind of funny to me. I almost feel like you get excommunicated out of Duke if you ever run a zone defense. Bobby Hurley ran quite a bit of zone yesterday.
Yeah, we thought in that game it made sense because their guards are really good at getting to the paint, and we haven't played zone all year, so as something new that they may not have worked on. And then I didn't want those guards getting our front court in foul trouble from Utah are really good. The two of them combined average 40 a game. So I thought that was a good path to giving ourselves a chance to win on the road. And we used it against Colorado some, and tonight a little bit when they got to the paint in the second half. Too often we switched to it. So I think it's something that we are going to move forward with in some way.
It was interesting that Bobby Hurley just told the world, hey, we're going to look at doing this a lot more often. Now, granted, any coach can see, wow, you guys have been stinking on defense. It's about time you change things up, and now you change things up and it works. Okay, we're going to see that zone too. So it's not like the coaches didn't know it, but still for him to admit it. And I can guarantee you Bobby Hurley hates zone defense. Hates zone defense. But you got to do it because you don't have the depth to handle your guards getting in foul trouble, which is more often than not what happens when you are playing man-to-man. And they're not stopping penetration, which is getting the bigs in foul trouble. And you might say, well, how is that? If the guard doesn't stop the guard from getting into the paint, then the other team's guard is now driving down, and you almost always get that foul call if you get bumped by the big. And then if the big comes over and stops you and you don't get fouled, well, now you're just going to dish it to the bigs man. That sounded weird to say the bigs man, but whoever is the big, whoever he's guarding, that's his guy. And as soon as you get penetration into the lane, put it this way, if I'm the big guy and you're the other team and you got into the lane, I've got to leave my guy to stop you, which is the exact moment you pass it to my guy. And now they've got a tremendous advantage, in a sense, like a 2-on-1, but only 4 feet from the basket. But that's how the penetration then gets the bigs in foul trouble, because they might foul one of the two guys, either the guard in the lane or trying to recover back to the guy that the guard just passed to and get in position to defend that. So that is a lot of the issues of the Sun Devils have been getting into foul trouble. It's time for yeah, they're movies I'm dancing. How about that? 3 of them. 3 of them today. Went 3-1 yesterday in reasonably convincing fashion, and even got my surprise upset pick correct, so I'm fired up about that. What really stinks is the one game I missed, I explained why I'm going to miss it, and then missed it. We told you that the Lakers were on the back end of a back-to-back. We love San Antonio covering the 7.5. They won 136-108, almost won it by 30. So we had plenty of room to spare on that one. I like BYU minus 3.5 against Baylor. Got a little lucky on that one. Baylor won by 4, 99-95, so we got that one right. And I told you I like Miami to upset North Carolina, but we did take the points. We had Miami plus 1.5, so it was negative juice at minus 108, but that's okay because we got it right. Miami 75, UNC 66. And then the game I missed, I took Iowa State minus the 6.5. Iowa State didn't cover because they didn't win. 62-55 is the final on that one. And TCU always does that. It seems like they always underachieve, and then late in the year they pull off some wild upset, always at home, that then TCU fans believe, well, now we belong in the playoff conversation. I'm like, no, you don't. Go away. So I went 3-1 yesterday. The slump's still not very good. 33-41, still pretty high to get the slump that I went in erased. Officially sitting at 1941 versus 1834. All right, got a lot of games today. A lot of games. One of them's blood money. Yes, I'm doing it. I'm not a homer. I'm going to be rooting for the Suns, but I think Oklahoma City's going to cover the 7.5. I'll take the Thunder. Pacers just had a huge win in overtime against the Knicks, and now they got to take on Brooklyn. Now, granted, they're on Manhattan, so it's not like travel's a problem, but still, I like Brooklyn to cover the 5.5 with the Pacers being exhausted from an overtime last night. Philly has to cover 1.5 against the Knicks. I really like that. Knicks are tired from that game against Indiana that went into overtime. We'll take Golden State plus the 6.5 against the Spurs. Spurs are on the back end of a back-to-back, and I like Golden State there. And then to college, USC is getting 7.5 points against Ohio State, and the game's at Ohio State. I think the Buckeyes win. USC might win, but I think the Buckeyes win. But I'm really confident they don't cover. I didn't say I love the game, but I am really confident they don't cover. So we'll take USC plus the 7.5. We'll go local on one. I like GCU on the money line tonight. They're taking on New Mexico. New Mexico's a more built-up program. But I think GCU's got something special. And with New Mexico being in third place, but only a game ahead of GCU, I think GCU really needs this one, and I think their fans know it. And when GCU fans know it, that place gets even crazier. And then my last game, and I don't know if it's on right now, which would obviously defeat me from playing it, but I don't think it's on right now. I think it's on this afternoon. Men's hockey opens today in the Olympics. And I think Sweden will easily cover against Italy, but you're going to be shocked by the number. It's at 4.5. Like, you never have 4.5 in hockey. And yet, I'm going to say Sweden wins by 5 goals. That's one of the craziest predictions I've ever made. To actually pick a hockey team to win by 5. But Italy is always real bad in hockey, and Sweden's usually pretty good. So we'll take Sweden minus the 4.5. Sound credits today. Everything Diamondbacks was from 12 News. They did all the work. Man, thank you very much to Jake and Lena and Cam and Tyler, because you made the show really good today. I want to give a special shout out to the Diamondbacks front office and their communications department for helping me set up everything with Jake Lamb. It went great. And Unplugged Army, if you think it went great, please let the Diamondbacks know that you enjoyed it, because I thought it was a really good conversation about a lot of different things. And I got the Jordan Ott from the Suns YouTube page, and I got the Bobby Hurley from the ASU YouTube page. That's kind of funny. The YouTube page. That does it for today's version of Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. Quickly, your dates of all the upcoming events. February 28th, grand opening, Slice House. I'll be there in the morning, right around 11 or 11:30, somewhere in there, eating lunch. Try to get there yourself. 3115 Val Vista Drive, near the Santan Ford. Santan Ford, 202 in Val Vista. I am Santan Ford. Use the mobile unit. Click on mobile unit at santanford.com. Parker & Sons Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical. Not just for your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical, but now for your golf outing needs. How about that? I'm just so touched by what they did. Again, email me, Doug at DougFranzUnplugged.com. If you want to play but you can't afford it,
Please don't abuse it when I'm offering you something free because it's from Parker & Sons. And please know that if you accept it, you're getting the stare down if you ever call some other Yahoo group to come out and handle your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Call 602-2-REPAIR. That's 602, the number 2, then REPAIR for Parker & Sons. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Burrito Express has the best breakfast burrito you've ever had. Fantastic lunch. Get the green chilies on it. Just such a delicious place. And everybody hardworking, good people. If you've met Angel, you'll agree with me. You need to go to Burrito Express. 100 Mile Brewing Company. I was just there yesterday. It was absolutely delicious. Had the turkey club. And the kitchen managers the food's even better. So get to 100 Mile Brew, 202 Rural and Scottsdale Road, home of A Mountain Amber Ale. Penny Royal Promotion, slap a logo on that. They can put a logo on anything. Goodyear Fit Body Boot Camp, inspiring fitness and changing lives every day. Just head down Estrella, and it's right there on the right. Get a great workout in, meet good people. And now Wendy's. How about that, Al? We got Wendy's and the Baconator Biggie-sizing Doug's big one. Oh, by the way, Al, Suns win.
Doug, thank you so much. My best to your listeners, and keep up the work on Doug French Unplugged.